They're out there. Yep. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. Ready to rock and roll with the Flatland Showpigs preview. All right, you tell me when we're going to roll live then. Okay, rock and roll. Get after it. Good, we're rolling? Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Flatland Showpigs Spring Sale Preview. My name is Ben Cooley. I'm along with Weston Charles here, and we're on Taylor Fort Streaming. Those of you guys watching in live, we appreciate it. Obviously, this is going to be up on playback as well, where you guys can go and rewatch it before our sale. I know the information's there on relative to when the sale is, but I'll just repeat it. It is this Saturday, March 8th, 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Colorado. There will be online bidding with Taylor Fort Sales. And so today what we're going to do, so everybody's well aware of it, we're running through these in pin order in the back. It is not sale order. They aren't tagged yet relative to lot order. We will get that done tomorrow probably and have that posted certainly by Friday morning early. So today they will be just running in a couple at a time. We're going to have that, though, that sale order loaded on Facebook so you guys can see that, so you know what lot or what pig we're talking about. There's pedigree information, so on and so forth. Obviously, any questions at any time, you can reach out to myself, Brian Funk, Taylor. We'll have all of our numbers up there where you guys can get a hold of us. So the first pair that we're going to talk about today, the first pair in the ring, pair of gilts out here, 28-6. That's going to be the narrow-belted gilt that Ridge is, or Trip is going to drive right out there in the center part of the ring, or try to. This particular gilt, she is a wide awake, back on a Make It Happen unlocked sow that originally came from Sloan. She was a bred gilt purchase a couple years ago. This would actually be a repeat mating from the summer. This summer, she had this wide awake litter, made the boar that is there at Crossroads Genetics now, that Adam and crew bought there at PT from us. That is, I forgot his name. That's how good it is. Watch and learn. Geez, I can't even remember my own boar's name, Weston. That's terrible. Watch and learn. And I will tell you, at this stage of the game this summer, when that boar was kind of this size, he was a lot like this gilt relative to, type and kind, balance, look, maybe just a little bit skinnier. And that's the reason we probably sold him at PT when he was 130 pounds. I will tell you, once everybody went and saw him this spring, though, in January, February, he turned into an absolute monster and is one of the most popular boars there at Crossroads Genetics that they're very excited about. This particular gilt, 28-6, is one that we're offering up, is a repeat mating, like her quite a bit. The wide belted gilt that's out there in the center part of the ring as well is 24-5. That is a wide open icon, never before. That icon sow, she's done a tremendous job for us. In fact, last summer she would have had her in her very first litter. She raised the grand champion for county fair up there in Montana for the Mernon family. She had a very good litter this summer of wide awakes, where there was a particular male that's won quite a bit on the Oklahoma circuit, a couple jackpots, and then it's going to obviously be at OYE here in a couple weeks. This particular gilt is a wide open, wide awake son, and then back on that icon. We'll get Weston's thoughts here on this pair, but I think a pretty good pair of gilts to start us off in our preview.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know we're just going by pin order, but we do start things off with a bang. I mean, you can't ask for a more predictable pedigree on this repeat mating, and you don't do that a lot around here, right? I mean, it takes a special one to motivate you to do that. And I told you when I saw that boar as a baby that pedigree makes so much sense to start with. My experience with Make It Happen is just the moderation and boxiness, and then, you come in with Wide Awake, who obviously needs no introduction. And when you get a gilt like this narrow belt that is this sharp, and stylish, just screams balance, right? Every day you feed that one, she gets better. I don't care if you show her early at at market weight, or if you want to feed that one forever and be a breeding gilt, man, I get way fired up about envisioning that one as a 320-pound breeding gilt. And then talk about potential to recapture value. Cooley's going to want her back, but if you're breeding sows, I mean, that one is way, way good. Skin and hair, awesome. The wider belt gilt, she probably has the advantage of the pair of being just a little more mature in her cage. Really good middled, but still with the sharp look. But, man, it's hard to take my eyes off that thin belt one. Really, really good way to start.
So again, guys, the pair that's out in the ring, 28-6, that's the narrow belted gilt, wide awake, make it happen, repeat mating to watch and learn. And then 24-5 is the wide belt. She is a wide open icon, never before. The next pair that are going to come out are a pair of males out into the ring at this time. We're actually going to start with the solid black boar pig that we're going to jump on first. That is 36-1. He is a wake-up call, tricked out goosebumps. And Wake Up Call was the Keplinger boar that generated a lot of buzz this last summer and fall. And, we purchased a little bit of semen there to be able to breed to him. And we were sure glad we did. When I was trying to decide which female to put this in, Weston, I said, well, we're just going to go ahead and put it in the San Antonio champion gilt from 2023 that tricked out on that Goosebumps verbatim Roxy. And we definitely have a very unique individual out here. Unfortunately, that was the only one. She carried one to full term, which I have never seen before, and a solid black boar pig. And you would say, man, you'd be disappointed, but I'm actually not with this particular individual here. And like all wake-up calls, I think the report on them early is, all right, they're going to be a little greener in their muscle. They're going to be a little skinnier, and that's perfectly fine. But balance, feet and legs, bone work, just the way they're balanced and all their feet and legs tie together, very correct, very balanced individual there that it continues to get stouter as he matures. I will tell you right now, this guy just keeps coming and getting better every day. Do think that one kind of just get on the feed on him. You don't have to just sit and wait on him to get ready. He's going to be ready, I think, in that, late July to end of August time frame, and going to be one that you're very excited about. The traditional belted barrow that's out there is a 27 litter. That is 27-1. Suits is the sire on him. The dam is a first litter gilt, aftermarket crickets. The grand dam actually of this litter would have raised that blue gilt that Josette McConnell showed in Nebraska this last year that ended up third overall in the open gilt show there at Nebraska State Fair. This is a first litter gilt out of actually Weston Your Boar aftermarket that I bought a couple years ago in your sale. Suits is the sire on him, and I think a very boxy, round-bodied barrow that we can talk about. We'll get your thoughts.
I don't want to spend all day on pedigrees because I think I'll try to talk phenotype, but I just have to mention, when you see Wake Up Call in a pedigree and you know how hard that semen was to get, you know it went in a great sow. Around here, they grabbed the Grand at San Antonio. That's a blessing to have one of those sitting in the sow pens, I'd say. But, man, this thing's looseness everywhere. Looseness just in every joint. I mean, he's so flexible, nothing tight, nothing rigid. Absolutely a feeder's dream. You can do whatever you want with this one, but don't mistaken us and think that he's that green. You look at that guy's pin width from behind. He's big and wide and square. You study him coming at you. The base of his sternum is flat and wide. All you got to do is keep that guy with the right amount of protein to match kind of his growth curve, and you are going to look very smart in the end with that skeleton to work on. this belted pig is blessed with even more crisp, hard shape today. Awesome back laid in that one already. Different feeding plan for sure. Still high quality pair that aren't the same, but both managed correctly could have fun at the end of the summer.
Yep, I think we had those pigs out there, guys. Talk about the sire suits. That's the rightfully so son that we bought from Canoe there a couple years ago with Crossroads, and we've have a bunch of those on feed, from the summer. Their early muscle shape, Weston, is quite impressive. I mean, you're going to see several of those suits pigs today, and they are of hard muscle shape. You don't have to do a lot of feeding power into those type of pigs. All right, the next pair that are going to come out here are 30-2, which is this solid white purebred Yorkshire barrow, and then 33-4, which is a cross barrow. We'll talk about the Yorkshire first. We have 3 purebred Yorkshire males we're going to offer up in our sale, and we don't have a lot of purebreds around here. In fact, this is the lone purebred female. She's a whiskers uproar, kind of a line bred the Yorkshire female that honestly, Weston, this is our 4th parity now, 4th or 5th. This is the first time I've bred her pure. She's always been bred cross because I've made a bunch of synthetic white ones every time out of her that have gotten along extremely well. And I said, all right, we're going to make her get a pure litter this time. We have 3 very nice Yorkshire males that we're going to offer up here. This one is 30-2. They're out of the boar Fax, which is the boar at Crossroads that they bought from Cobb at the draft last year. I believe they paid $65,000 for. I like this barrow. Certainly a round-bodied one that's very proportional in his build and extra stout in terms of his muscle. The crossbred barrow, the calico that we're going to talk about, out here, that one has some wild pieces. He's still a little green just in his top line there. I think you can study that. But that is a wide awake, back on a top shelf, nothing to hide gilt. We actually bought the mom of this one from Platt at PT a couple years ago. This is her very first litter. We bought her as a baby. She had wide awakes, and you want to talk about one with extras relative to bone, fur, and look. That calico certainly brings it to the table.
To start on the Yorkshire there, I think it's important when evaluating these at this stage to just check some fundamental things. To have that kind of throat or lack thereof and look blade forward, up on his toes, wide-chested, square at his knee. I mean, when you start with those things covered, but then you still come with that much punch back, I think that's a good place to start for sure. Intriguing one there. The cross, you're going to hear plenty about this litter. It didn't take me long to get real curious what these were as I cruised around through the pigs earlier today. This one is exactly how Cooley described him. Big featured, really shaggy, so current in terms of just the skull and mass and just man that he needs. Take him home, get him off baby feed, and I think you'll look really smart here down the road.
So again, the pair out in the ring, the purebred Yorkshire 30-2. Fax on a whiskers sow, and then 33-4 is the cross calico barrow, wide awake top shelf. And guys, I'm sure it'll be asked, relative to what age we're talking about here. The majority of these hogs, we've got kind of a mid-December litter, but they kind of roll from, mid-late December all the way through early January. But I will tell you, there is going to be a wide feeding window on a lot of these pigs today. They can roll anywhere from into July all the way through probably October, and that's just the nature of the beast. The trio that we run out here, we just talked about the 33 litter, Weston. Here's a trio of litter mates that are out of that same top shelf sow. We're going to start with 33-5. That's the Cryptorchid one, the calico that Tripp's going to jump on there right in the middle. That's 33-5. He's one that's certainly a little greener and skinnier in his center body right now, like sometimes those wide awakes can be. But I will tell you, that one you probably rock and roll and just get after feeding. He's going to man up in a hurry. That was my thoughts relative to the wide awakes after we fed them now for a couple seasons, Weston. They start to mature and man up pretty quick, but big feet, big legs, and big bones in that one. The littermate gilt that Ridge is going to jump on over there, that's 33-9. Again, wide awake, top shelf. Again, probably one that was built just like her counterpart that we just talked about there. That one is a neat look ahead of her blade. Like her proportions, and I like her balance. Good feet and legs there as she tries to drive around the ring relative for Ridge there. We'll tell him to get to work with her a little bit more. And then the little one out there, probably had as much intrigue about that one and the few people that have been through the barn here. That's 33-6. He was just probably a little further behind. He is a crypt, but I'm telling you right now, if you want one to feed for a long time through the fall, that stout little hairy one there could have quite a few friends because he has all the intangibles. Obviously, he's not going to get there anytime in a hurry here. I think that one probably takes his time, but wow, that one has some wild pieces.
Interesting trio for sure in terms of where you see similarities. I think you can count on just dense feature stoutness for sure in all of them. Maybe just a little different look and kind after that, though. The gilt's kind of on screen there. I think that's the one that keeps grabbing my eye in terms of just proportioning so well, balance, quality. I think that's just a timeless look. So often we try to hit a certain judge at a certain show. That's the kind, to me, that is going to get along no matter who she shows to, right? And then maybe a little different on the male pigs, right? The little guy, he's as extreme as you're going to find in terms of being short back, boxy, ultra aggressive in terms of just feature and width, right? Manage him, of course, obviously have a long game in mind, but man, that's fun. When they're that size, they usually don't look like that, right? That's not normal to be just that stout and kind of an outlier there. And then, of course, finally, we wrap up with the bigger male pig, the crypt, I believe. That one's very comfortable, gets out, can put his head above his spine. As soon as he begins to flesh and fill in that forerib, everything's going to work because he drives at you wide. You know it's coming. Good set of pigs there, even though there are some obvious differences in size.
So again, guys, a trio of litter mates. They are all 33 litters, wide awake, back on the top shelf, nothing to hide. The two male pigs are crypts, 33.5 and 33.6, and then 33.9 is the gilt. The next pair that we're going to run out here are another pair of, we have a Yorkshire Barrow, 30-3, purebred Yorkshire Barrow, and then 35-6 is a cross gilt. We'll start with the Barrow. We talked about his brother just a moment ago, but 30-3 right there in the center part of your ring that gets on camera. I think similar mold to his brother, one that is certainly stout and has the width of skeleton and plenty of power and natural muscle to him in that breed, I think, to be competitive, but one that still has a good look ahead of his blade there. Feet and legs work right. Again, I think very fundamentally correct Yorkshire Barrow there. That, again, you take him home, you start feeding him, you figure out where his ideal endpoint's going to be, maybe when he's going to be ready. Then the blue gilt, the blue nose gilt, 5-6. Livin' is the boar that was at 333 there. CNC boar pig that was out of several litters this spring. Unfortunately, that boar's gone, and it's going to be a little unfortunate because there's several that you're going to look at today that you're going to say, man, I'd like to use him again and on the right type of female. I certainly think the female here that we used him on needs no introduction. She's done her job for a long time around here. That's the Kingpin Verbatim Roxy Sow, one of our staples of our blue program. And you can see with this blue gilt here, when they have that much feature and skull, the bones on them look right, the maturity looks right, they're going to have plenty of natural power and muscle. You don't have to feed them hard. That I don't care if you're going to market show, breeding guild show, where you end up maybe exhibiting that one down the road. She has quite a bit of potential. Weston, we'll get your thoughts.
Yeah, just to continue to talk about the blue gilt there. I come up here, I don't know, multiple times a year for, I don't know, as long as I can remember, a decade or better. And ever since there's been a Kingpin Verbatim Roxy around, if that's in the bottom side, you cannot go wrong. So don't miss this here. To combine that kind of look, shape, bulk, correctness all in one package is just not that easily done, and doesn't happen as often as sometimes as breeders as we hope, right? Just to have one that proportions and is correct and wide and powerful, I don't know what I need to change on that one sitting here today, and that excites me as much as anything. Very good female. York, I don't pretend to be a York guy, but to me that looks like a project you're going to take home, feed easy. Again, all you got to do is kind of let the pig tell you when he needs to be ready, manage protein, right, and have a purebred barrow in a part of the world where there's not a lot of these, right, and it's hard to find pure Yorks like we need at times here. So fun pair for sure here.
So again, guys, the pure York barrow, that's 30-3. Facts, Whiskers, Uproars, the pedigree. Then the blue gilt, 35-6. Livin' Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. You know, I don't try to make red belts, Weston Charles. That's usually not what we're trying to do. However, when they come like this pair of gilts that I'm going to run out to you right now, I don't mind them one bit. And I have to laugh about this because my good friend Doug Albright, he still gives me a hard time about beating this red belted barrow at a jackpot a couple years ago in Ohio. I would have had him third overall cross, and then he gave me a hard time about it, even though I used two of his other pigs that day to win the show. And he gave me a hard time about this red belted barrow that went on to be reserve grand at Georgia, later in the winter. So I do have to give him a hard time. And the reason I bring up that story, the pair of gilts out here are out of Young Love, back on a Hero Kingpin Verbatim Roxy sow. We had an opportunity to buy some frozen Young Love semen, I believe in the exchange last year, because I had seen what Doug had done with his Young Loves and made really good females, really good pigs just in general, but I really wanted to make some females. And I don't care what color they are, but this pair that jumps out here right away, we've got Dash 2, which I believe is the one in the center that Ridge is on right now. Hopefully that one's on camera. And then Trip is going to be on the Dash 5, 31-5. That pair right there, fundamentally, stout, opened up. They're robust in their center part of their cage. They have the right kind of muscle shape and pattern to them from a maturity standpoint. Feet and legs and fundamentals are very correct. I will tell you, the hip and hind leg structure on these Young Love pigs is very, very good. Doug Albright talks about it specifically. He has a huge sow base now with that boar in his pedigree, and he's no longer available. He's dead now. He had to ship him. But this pair of gilts right here, I think, certainly brings some fundamentals to the table.
I'm with you on the Young Love on the bottom side, just working. We have one that we think does a heck of a job at home, too, as a generator. But first thing first here, I don't even know if these are red belts. You got to quit knocking on them. These are like a pretty sandy. They're not just the pumpkin orange or whatever, So don't be hating on these. And, in fact, in Colorado, these things are light crosses on our circuit, and at Weld County they're light crosses. I mean, I'll take this color just fine. So easy does it there, Cooley. But I think a fun pair for sure. I guess to start with the one further from the camera maybe is one that I just love from the side in terms of just balance, feet and legs, comfortable on the move. She looks like she could go all day. That one's just, when they're built like that, just everything else seems to be simpler throughout the feeding process, right? You don't have to stress about keeping much in check. Just let her do it. Sister is packing more punch already today. If that's the style you're more comfortable feeding, she has more top edge shape, right? You get behind her, she's already very, very expressive from behind. You just need to chill her out on protein at times along the way, but still to be able to handle that much punch with that kind of skeleton, not easily done. Fun pair there for sure. I'm pretty high on the -2 gilt myself.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't mention this hero sow that's on the bottom side. She would have raised a second place crossbred gilt behind the Grand at Fort Worth this year that we're getting back. So proven pedigree there, proven sow that generates. So nice pair there of sandy colored red belted gilts. Doug Albright specials is what I would call them. Another pair of littermates. We're going to kind of continue in that theme that we're going to run out at you right here. And Weston, I'm pretty excited about this pair just based on Mama and what she's done and proven for us. And then the sire side on top kind of gets me excited as well. Guys, if you're following along, these are 26-4 and 26-8 crossbred gilts, wide open, king of the hill, gone viral. Mom is the king of the hill sow that we have around here that would have raised our reserve grand overall barrow at Weld County in 2023. She's generated every time and done an excellent job. We bred her to wide open, the Stauffer boar that's there at Laird's, and very excited about the pair of gilts we're going to run out here. The -4 is the one that's a little closer to me over here that maybe we'll get on camera there as we peel her out. That's -4. Obviously, you can see kind of some similarities between the two, but plenty of natural muscle and stoutness in her, but still a wild look ahead of our blade. Feet and legs run the right direction for sure in that particular gilt. And then the -8 is on the further side of the ring at this time, coming across the middle. -8, man, that one's look and just presence ahead of her blade, Weston, hip and hind leg. I think scream just one that you can just feed and roll with. And I think as they continue to mature, and especially out of that sow, I will tell you, as they mature, they bulk up plenty and have plenty to them in the end.
Woo! We kind of crank the heat up here. These two walk in, and you can't help but just kind of sit forward and get excited. They're jet black, awesome pigmented with a just perfect color patterns in terms of just that splash of chrome that gets you noticed, but nothing that detracts at all. These things with that kind of front third presence is the word to describe them. Stylish, just ultra cool, no matter what angle you get. These are the kind that are an absolute blast to jackpot because they're ready to go win a show today. But, man, they're going to be so lethal in the end because feet and legs and look and long-term indicators read so good here on this pair. Yeah, I don't know if it's even worth, I guess, comparing them. They're both way good. For me, the one that I guess just instantly I couldn't stop looking at was the -8. Just that extra little jaw shape she has with that neck and presence is so wild. If the other one would maybe cooperate with the whip as she gets broke, of course, she's going to be slick too, and maybe even a nickel shorter back. I'm not sure. But, man, awesome pair for sure. Don't miss out on these things. I hope it comes across on camera just how captivating they are. Everything, skin, hair, front third, hind leg, really neat pair of gilts here.
Obviously, I'm very high on this sow and what she's done. When I saw Wide Open this last summer at Laird's, I was very intrigued by him. I thought that was a very good animal, a very good boar, obviously a proven pedigree from a proven firm. I wanted to put him in a good sow, and, we got a pair of litters out of him, actually, and this one's, I think, certainly a highlight with these pair of females. So 26-4. She kind of has a little more white kind of on her right hip there that goes up a little higher. And then -8, probably you call her maybe the little skinnier middled one right now. But I would tell you both of those scream with a lot of quality. We have another pair of gilts that are going to come out next. And as I mentioned at the kind of toward the beginning there, age on these pigs throughout the preview, we kind of run, mid to late December, early Jan. We did have kind of one litter that it was kind of in between our couple groups between our Elevate set and then, the later part of December. And so that's the 23 litter. And you can see that big gilt on your screen there. We're going to talk about her first. That is 23-3. That is a Suits Buckle Up Goosebumps. And again, Suits the boar, the rightfully so son there at Crossroads that we've owned with them that came from Canoe. And we have been very, very happy with our Suits pigs. The bottom side of that is actually a first litter Buckle Up gilt. Mom actually is the Goosebumps silver lining sow that would be the same grandmother bloodline is our 4th overall market hog at Colorado State Fair last year. So some very good genetics in the bottom side of that one's pedigree. That one is very, very stout featured, hairy, boxy, big old flag tail with a big root there. I will tell you, these Suits pigs, as they mature, they flesh up. They have big bones, big hair, wild look, and a lot of muscle shape up high. You just flesh her up right and manage her appropriately. I think that one could be very, very neat. Do we have a misnotch there? Both of them are 23s? Okay, sounds good. What I mismanaged that, didn't I? I want to make sure there. 23-5. Okay, sounds good. I will make sure that's correct there. The other one is obviously a 23 as well, as I was just pointed out. I had a notch there on my sheet. 23-5 is her notch. She's a little more moderate in her kind. That one is round-bodied, little shorter backed, but same type of look ahead of her blade, same type of hard muscle shape up high, Weston. We'll get your thoughts on this pair.
Yeah, I heard you get into extended pedigree. That old silver lining sow was so ahead of her time in terms of feature, right? And so this pedigree has like silver lining, buckle up, Suits, all boars that are proven to just make them dense, right? But then these come in here and they can handle it so well, but there is never a question that these are going to be towards the top end of whatever show you go to in terms of density. So pick the kind you want here. You've got one that, like you mentioned, the -3 would be the more wider belted gilt. She's a nickel bigger, right? That one needs to be probably a heavyweight as a market hog, or one that can be taken all the way to the top end of your breeding division, your biggest division as a gilt. She has the front third quality to last that long. She's so slick in her throat that, man, you could feed that one forever and just be bigger legged and better than most of them that you run against. The narrow belted one there in the corner, again, some will prefer her moderation. I think that one is going to be ready early and often. Love just her cage and shape and how everything fits together, still with an awesome kind of skull and mug. But when they get out and roll like that with that big old tail set, that's a really good look, a good pair for sure that offer a ton of potential.
So again, a pair of litter mates out in the ring. They're both 23s. 23-3 is the wide belted gilt, and 23-5 is the more moderate, narrow belted one. Suits, Buckle Up, Goosebumps is the extended pedigree. Like that pair quite a bit. All right, I guess we continue with the theme of we're going to continue to run litter mates at you. And the trio that we run out here are all 25s. 25s, again, sire is Suits. We've talked about him extensively, that rightfully so son, and what he does. And I think you can see immediately his presence in these pigs of neck, chest, the way it all kind of ties together at the top side of their skeleton and comes into a big back shape up high. Mom on these three is the hero never before. And this particular sow has done a good job. I think, Weston, you probably remember the 24-litter hero gilts. A couple years ago, we showed a very impressive one at State Fair that year. They were very good. We showed them all summer long. This is one of the the sows out of that litter. She herself had a very impressive pass the hat litter this summer. And there's one we sold at Upper Echelon that's been down in Georgia, in that Georgia-Florida circuit, that's won quite a few shows and been very successful, that Hofschulte placed for us there out of that Upper Echelon sale. But the trio you see out here, I think, have probably more similarities than differences. We'll try to get some notches here. The one that's right in the middle that Tripp's going to drive out there, that is -5, 23-5. 25.5. Then the one that Ridge has over here, that is 25-8. She has a little more chrome on her hip and a white tail. Always love it when they have that white flag on their tail. And then the narrow-belted one, she's narrow-belted on one side, that's the -9 that we're going to run toward the middle. But Weston, we'll get your thoughts on this trio.
You've had a lot of hero litters, back in the day, and I would guess that 24 litter was one of the very best of them, right? I mean, those were wicked. And anytime you get a sow that good behind him, that's important to me when I'm evaluating these things. And I think these maybe needs to go a nickel slower, comes with extra width, right? Need to do, because the fundamentals are checked here in terms of being clean up front, and then they just explode into giant backs with huge cages. Really fun trio to evaluate.
Yeah, a little more on the Suits deal as we move those out there, guys. The Suits boar himself, I will tell you, those as babies, they probably weren't the boxy, hairy, fuzzy-legged ones that we all thought, that sometimes people gravitate toward and like on those Suits. I will tell you right now, if you go out to our replacement pen from the summer and look at those Suits females now, they are absolutely ginormous, legged, and featured. So it definitely is one of those things that comes a little later, which you would think from that canoe firm, from Kyle's program, that's kind of what he has built there. The pair that we jump out now is out of pen 6. This is 30-1, the solid white barrow. That is the last of the trio of purebred Yorks, and one I'll be interested to get Weston's thoughts on, but this one has always probably hit me pretty hard relative to just his extra look, bone feature, and stoutness, not only in his skull, but in his tail root, and then down at the ground where his, in his foot size. I thought that one was very, very intriguing, very neat. 30-1 purebred Yorkshire barrow. Again, Fax is the sire. Sow is a Whiskers Awestruck. Whiskers Uproar. And then 35-7 is the blue gilt out there. We've talked about that 35 liter already, but Livin is the sire. Kingpin Verbatim Roxy is the sow. You can see just with that one's impeccable look up front, the shape she has up high, length of back, length of hip, all matches in terms of proportions. There's some wild pieces in that particular blue gilt there. I don't care if you're talking market breeding, where you want to show her and when and how often, but you're always going to have some extras that get you noticed.
I think for me, this York is the one that of his brothers I love. I gravitate to this guy. You nailed it in terms of just extra density and toughness about his mug, skull, ankle. I love when he gets his head up, how just level he is out through his hip. His tail set is jerked way up there, but still proportions in a I hate to even say it when we're talking to pure Yorks, but he's just a nickel more clubby, right, in terms of maybe just that extra bit of current, which sometimes is hard to get in the Yorkshire breed. Don't miss that one for sure. And then we get to this blue gilt. Again, to combine that kind of shape, I mean, that thing's wild in terms of just how hard back she is, expressive from behind. But to be able to reach and push our hind leg behind our tail while carrying that much punch is impressive. And that, again, when you can flex and motor with that kind of power, you can fit any judge anytime you want, right? Take her home, chill her out if you need to, and just let her skeleton carry you to success there. Neat gilt.
Again, the pair out in the ring, the Yorkshire Barrow is 30-1. Fax is the sire on him. And then the gilt 35-7 Livin' Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. Another pair of white or blue hogs that we're going to run out you here. We'll start with the solid white barrow. Weston, that one is a crossbred, so he is 31-1. He's not pure. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. He is a synthetic, which will work perfectly fine if you're in a classification show. We talked about the young loves earlier. We had a couple sandy-colored litter mates. This is the solid white male out of that litter, and one I really gravitate toward quite a bit. I think his proportions, his balance, his skeleton are so good. That one is always going to be in the run-in, especially when you start talking about a solid white division, whether you're on the jackpot circuit or maybe later on at a show that just classifies them. But that one's look and balance and the way it all fits together strikes me as one that I think you can just take him home, feed him, not going to be in trouble any way, direction you want to go. He'll tell you when he's ready. And then another 35-liter blue gilt just seems to be a common theme out of that Kingpin Verbatim Roxy sow, but this is 35-8, living on the top side. This one's probably just a little bit bigger in her skeleton than maybe a couple of the others we've talked about, but it all still matches. Her extension ahead of her blade is absolutely wild. I mean, the length from the top of and point of her blade all the way to her blue nose is quite extreme, and yet she's still long in her hip, big in her feature, right in her toes. And Livin' is a boar that we haven't talked about specifically too much detail, but that's, again, modern day on Slaps' sister. Those boys at CNC would have sold a half-brother to him out of Wide Awake at Kings 1 this year that's at Laird that I believe you saw. We call him, what, Far and Away or something, something along those lines, if I'm right. Far and Wide, yep. That has been very, very popular, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this pair.
Woo! You didn't have to tell me that the solid white one wasn't a York. If you would have cut one that was a York that looked like that, I would have been upset at you. But this one isn't special because he's solid white. This one is special because he's that good. The icing on the cake is he's solid white, right? I mean, I don't know anybody that is paying attention trying to find blue ones, solid white ones. Those things are so hard to find, and to find a pair in the ring here with this kind of quality is so unique. I can't just express enough on this solid white guy how cool his proportions are. To be that short back but that long hip, perfect rear view. I hope he walks away from the camera at some point. That is a big hind leg that works and is so square. And to just be solid white, I mean, you'll pay for that guy in jackpot winnings alone on the circuit in Colorado. No, and he could go anywhere and be tough. Is Wyoming State Fair a class show, I think? I mean, that guy makes the Yorks maybe look silly, if I'm guessing, right? I don't know. Anyways, fun pig there. But this gilt, one thing the Flatland program consistently can crank out that I think at times is a struggle in our industry is to find ones that can be big pigs, right? This gilt has the frame size that we desire because she's got enough density. She can weigh whatever you want, and she's always going to be stout, dense, huge-legged. If we were picturing them, this one would take the kind of picture that makes her bring an absolute pile because her front third is very, very exotic. Flat-backed, tons of shape, huge legs. Sign me up on this pair. Different, but way, way good.
So, again, the pair out in the ring, guys, the solid white male, 31-1, Young Love, Hero, Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. And then the blue gilt, 35-8, Livin' Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. Kind of an interesting deal. You've got the mom of the 35s is the grandmother of the 31s. You can just start to see the consistency build in that blue program and what we try to do there. Next pair, we're back into some belted hogs there, and a pair that I've been pretty excited about to show off. The first one we're going to talk about is 24-2. And that is the big boar pig right there. He is a wide open icon, never before. We talked about a littermate sister in the very first pin of the day. This particular guy right there, if you like him dense, stout, burly, and has all the extras in terms of just feature, length of body, and we'll see if he'll just kind of drive out there. He may not be perfectly in his head, but I'm telling you what, that one has lots to him, and he probably doesn't need to go very fast. You can manage that one for quite some time, but perfectly belted barrows, or boar pig in this case. I mean, we would like to mass produce them, but Weston, we talk about it all the time. It is very challenging to do, but I think here is one that has all the power and stoutness that you need, and you can take your time in getting him ready, and when he's ready to go, he'll have all the extras. That's not to take away from his buddy out here in the ring. That is 29-5. 29.5 is a Young Love Hero Dirty Deal. So as I said, we used some frozen doses of Young Love there. We put it in the one to make some sandy colored ones and that white barrel. We also put it back in a Hero Daughter out of the Dirty Deal sow that I know you know very well, that came from Heimer, that we've tried to build a lot of females around. This one's a little bit different mold than his pen mate. He's one that has a great skeleton, great balance, proportions. I think it's very comfortable right in his overall build, and I think a pair that are fun to discuss.
Yeah, and to start with the absolute just He-Man out there, you did describe him well in terms of just the power, width, and extra he's come with. What I think you missed a little bit is he's very, very correct. He's still safe in his elbow. He's still square going away. Yeah, he has all the extras we want, but there is nothing that scares me on that one, right? And that's when they're way good, right? I'm guessing there's a reason maybe that the knife missed that guy. He is very, very unique just in terms of everything that we want in the show ring in 2025. Stoutness, proportions, cracked open. Yeah, take him home and you mellow him, and just know that anytime you're ready to go to a show, he'll be ready in a few days, right? But a skeleton that can handle it, right? You're right. Pinmate is a tick greener, but man, the looseness of skeleton in that guy is not surprising to me at all, knowing that the Dirty Deal sow's in our pedigree. Again, one of my favorite sows up here. Anytime she's in a pedigree, my ears perk up. Very, very just safe one that will feed well, and every day on feed, you're going to like him more and more. Neat set there.
So again, the stout boar pig is 24-2, wide open, icon never before. The belted barrow, 29.5, Young Love Hero Dirty Deal. The next pair that we run out into the ring, we're going to have 25-2. That's going to be the belted male with the spot kind of in his back right there. That's 25-2. I believe that's right. I want to make sure I got my notch right. Yep, I do. Okay. And then should have 34-4. Is that correct there, Trip? Yep, 34-4. Okay, we'll start with the 25. We've talked about some of those suits, pigs already, Weston. I think we had some littermate gilts, a trio of them earlier. Here's one of the males out of that particular litter. Same type of mold. If you study that one's just throat or lack thereof, with a stout skull and the head neck attachment that one has, and a hard back shape right out of the backside of his blade, that is suits in a nutshell. He does it every single time to every one of his pigs. This one still, I think, proportions right in his length of body. Some neat pieces in that particular guy, 25-2. The narrow belted barrow over here, that is 34-4, and that's another one of the live-ins. Live-in and then some Kingpin is the pedigree. And I will be honest, this was one that was probably just a little bit greener here for a few days. And then within the last about 48 hours, is that one just continued to come. I have been really, really impressed with that particular male. I think that that 34-4 right there, that one has a great look up front, big arm, big foot, rear ankle is right, proportions right. He's still green in his overall kind, but I think you've seen some of the other living pigs that we've shown you today. They're going to come with plenty of power and muscle the more they feed and go. So kind of a neat pair to discuss.
I hope the camera's getting that barrow there kind of cocked off, because that is a way sweet front third, right? I mean, that thing is very, very just devoid of any sort of throat, with still a stout skull on him, you know. That's a captivating look that when you come in the ring, you're busted open and flat at the base of your chest. With that kind of look, you're going to draw attention immediately, right? The other male hog in here, yeah, this kind is extra height the shoulder, just that tallness of blade, with a big old back shape coming. I don't even call that pig green. I know you knew what he was a week ago. Today, that pig has plenty for me. Really, really love just the silhouette he gives you to be that stout in his skull again, tall bladed, level, flat backed with a good pin set. And you mentioned it, and I think that's something we don't talk enough about, that extra squish to his rear pastern that gives him just the comfort that we all need. You get in a big ring, example, Colorado State Fair, we show on a football field, those things better be athletic, right? And that guy, I think, reads to me to be the kind that I like starting for sure.
Yeah, I think after, obviously, Living's dead now, so we can't use him again. However, after reading kind of which litters have done what, I would tell you this sow was the perfect match for him. She was one that was just a little bigger in her kind and a little more exotic up front, even though she was out of it and then some. She kind of looked more like a kingpin sow. And, man, those pigs, I think, are going to feed extremely well for the long haul. The next pair that come out are going to be, maybe if they're ready. Here they come. They're coming here. That would be a pair of gilts again, more cross gilts. Two a little different in type and kind. We'll talk about 26-7. That would be... Is Trip wants to jump on 26-7 there. We've talked about those 26s already. I showed you a pair of litter mates earlier in the preview that I think you got pretty fired up about. Wide open, king of the hill on the Gone Viral sow from the Heimer program. Mom would have raised the reserve grand overall barrow at Weld County in 23. Another one of the same mold. Texture of skin, hair, pigment is perfect in this one. A little splash of chrome. She's one that is great and exotic ahead of her blade. Big feet and legs. I think you take that one home and you just kind of get her on feet, and you can get that one ready about any point in her show career, and she's going to be awfully special. And then a little bit different mold is the 27-2 gilt out in the center of the ring. That's a Suits back on the aftermarket gilt that we talked about earlier. We talked about a pen mate, I think, or a litter mate in the very first pen of the day. That one is robust, round-bodied, and certainly very dense in our overall makeup. Two a little bit opposite end of the spectrum gilts, but I think both have their value and fit the mold depending on what you want to do.
I think it's apparent that you're offering your very best gilts here. To bring me a third 26 that looks like this as well, that litter is just slaying it from what I've seen so far. Again, pigment, hair texture, incredible, but maybe even more important, skeleton density. Look at that thing's skull, look at her tail root, but to do it with that kind of flash style presence, just like her sisters, you can't help but look at that one. That's high quality. That's good livestock there. The other one in here absolutely nailed it when you described him as being different. This one's advantages lie totally in terms of just her boldness in her cage. This one is going to be absolutely easy to get that flank that we all want to have our gilts have, that sometimes you think you're going to get it and it just doesn't come. With this one, you know from the get, you're always going to be good in your forerib, good in your flank. That lower body balance is so important when we show gilts. Really interesting pair that is very opposite. Both bring positives to the table for sure.
So kind of the wild, exotic, dark pigmented one, that is 26-7, wide open, King of the Hills, her pedigree. Then the wide belted gilt, that is 27-2, suits, back on the aftermarket Crickets sow. Pair that come out next, we're going to start with the Barrow. 25-4 is his notch, and he is a crypt. Make sure we note that. It is noted on the sheet here. That's a suits, again, back on the Hero, never before sow. We've talked about several of those 25s, and I think continue with the same mold with this particular male here. One that I think, relative to maybe compared to his sisters, is kind of interesting. The sisters were a little more exotic and wilder necked. The Barrow comes out with more stoutness and boldness to the center part of his cage. He's one that's just a little shorter backed and even more proportional than maybe some of his littermate sisters that we talked about, but one that you're never going to have to worry about, Weston, probably in terms of just stoutness of rib cage, if he would show off just a little bit there and help himself out. But one that's going to have plenty of muscle being out of suits, perfectly belted, really nice proportional type of market barrel prospect right there in 25-4. The gilt out in the ring, that is 23-2. That's another one of those suits back on the buckle up goosebumps. We talked about a couple litter mates already. Man, they are absolutely wild ahead of their blade. I mean, just the presence that they have in their neck and attachment on the top side of their skeleton is really tough to find. She's one, guys, probably you can feed, drop on protein and feed a little higher volume of feed. Looks like feet and legs are all going to stay in the right place. You flesh that one's body up and just let her kind of come naturally and fill in. When she's ready to go, she will have more than enough look and presence, more than enough bone, I think, to be noticed by the judge.
Again, I think contrasting pair, but this male pig, we've seen Willie Kirkpatrick a bunch lately, and he talks so well about just extra boldness in 3D to their chest, blade shape, cavity, right? This pig screams that, right? You won't get beat in terms of just being round and robust, but still short back to go with it, right? That's just a kind that never goes out of style in terms of being just that good centered. The gilt fires me up again. I'm a sucker for a big-legged, good-looking gilt that has enough like this one. When she turns and goes from you, the range she has with that kind of pin set, the correct amount of shape with the square hock, I'm just telling you, looking around at sales across the country, if you need one for a July date, there's not many left. This one gets there without any trouble if you want her to. If you want to show her way past that, great. She's built so she can be a big one. A lot of flexibility. A lot of times we talk about that on little boxy ones. I think this one offers it just in a different way. Contrasting pair again, very good in their own rights.
Again, guys, the Barrow's going to be 25-4. He is a crypt. We'll make sure we note that. And then the gilt is 23-2. That would be the suits buckle up. All right, the next pair, they're going to be coming out here. We got a couple male pigs. Maybe. There we go. The first one that we're going to talk about is this partial belted one. And, I've got Tripp and Ridge Kaiser out here helping me. And I can't remember, one of them mentioned last night, he's like, man, I love them when they have that color pattern. They kind of have that belt starting on each side, but it breaks up top there. It just kind of sets them off and are relatively unique. And that 26-2, that is a boar pig. He's still intact. We've talked about the 26 litter gilts out of that litter, wide open, king of the hill, gone viral. And the gilts look like gilts. The male looks like a male. Big legs, lots of great hair and pigment, lots of feature, very stout and modern in his kind. Certainly, I think you can have a long window of showing that particular male right there. And then the full belted, traditional belted male there, that is 35-3. That's another one of those live-ins back on the Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. I will tell you, traditionally, that blue sow hardly ever gave me many belted pigs and very many belted males. I think I actually have several in this particular sale out of her. And here's one that I think reads like we're going to be ready a little bit sooner. Little bit one that you can just feed on and go with, but a great look ahead of our blade and a lot of muscle shape in that particular guy.
You started talking about color and you went with the broken belt. I thought when this pig walked in, I didn't even need to look at his ear notch because it's that same extra hair and colored pigmentation of all those gilts. These 26s are just different. I mean, they are extra black and so good haired. I knew who he was before we even got him in here, I guess. Love that guy's density. So stout about his mug and his ankle. Reads to me like could be just a killer state fair barrel. Like that one a bunch. The other one, agree with you a ton in terms of feeding plan on that one. Take that one home, let him rip, don't overthink it. I think you're going to have a project that is absolutely flexible, correct, covers so many fundamentals. Fun pair to discuss for sure there.
Again, 26-2, the boar pig out there. That is a wide open king of the hill. And then 35-3 is the belted male, traditional belted male, live-in Kingpin Verbatim Roxy, 35-3. The next pair that make their way into the ring are, there's both of them, I think, have the value that I've been very excited about. We'll talk about the boar pig first. That is 28-1. We've talked about 28s, I think, briefly in the very first pin. Wide awake, make it happen. Unlocked is the pedigree. This is a repeat mating and a full sib boar pig to watch and learn. The boar at Crossroads that we sold them from PT, and a male that I'm pretty excited about. He's still intact for a reason, but more importantly, I think this one is an excellent show barrow, and I will tell you, reads so similar to what the boar did from this last fall, kind of at this stage. He's stout, he's hairy, skin texture is right on this particular guy. Great look ahead of our blade. And I tell you what, as they mature and feed, they just continue to man up and bulk up and have more to them. That particular male, I have a lot of high hopes for. I think he could fit a wide variety of shows depending on when you want to exhibit him. The traditional belted male along the fence over there, gilt along the fence over there, that is 29-7. Young Love, Hero, Dirty Deal. Weston, that is the only gilt out of that particular litter. I bred that sow to make gilts, and I had one. We had, I think, 6 belted males and 1 belted gilt. She is in the sale. I'm not saying she's on sale, but she is in the sale. I think a gilt that probably has as much value from a genetic standpoint as any we're offering in this particular sale, but I think she could be a killer show gilt and have a lot of potential there too.
I don't know who to start with on this pair. I think they both get me fired up for different reasons. Let's start with the male pig. You compared him back to Watch and Learn as he's known now. I'll tell you, in my opinion, which isn't worth much, that guy's neater looking already, sharper in his front third than his full sib would have been, but every bit as athletic, proportional, dense. Man, guys, it just, when the guesswork's taken out of it, it's the pedigree that we want. It's a pedigree that makes sense, knowing what Wide Awake and what Make It Happen generated and still generate in Wide Awake's case. That pig is way, way good. Put him on your short list. Come see him if you can. You'll be glad you did. The gilt, different, but absolutely the kind that Cooley normally tries to hold on to. And I understand your frustration in terms of sometimes when you want to make gilts, you don't get them. Usually you're wishing for more males, right? It's funny how it works that way. But, hey, you got one, and sometimes that's all it takes. Just intangibles, wide, square, bold, with a useful hind leg. Those kind will never go out of style. Way, way good there. Again, look at the pedigree if you need any extra excitement to get you fired up on that gilt. But really, come see that male pig too. Don't miss your chance here.
So again, the males, 28-1, Wide Awake, Make It Happen. And then 29-7 is the gilt, Young Love, Hero, Dirty Deal. Pair that we're pretty excited about. Get into a couple maybe a little smaller in size here, but I think right in our wheelhouse of fitting the fall run, late summer fall run. We're going to start with the Barrow 35-1, and we roll that Barrow out there. We've talked about those 35s already. Living Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. This one I think gets me as fired up as any in that particular litter, especially from the male perspective. His boxiness, I still think is right, and yet looks like one that I think you can just take home and feed. But sharpness of look, muscle shape on the top side of his skeleton is very, very good. He's round in his body shape. One that checks a lot of boxes, doesn't get you in the ditch, in my personal opinion. And then 37-9. First of the 37s we've actually talked about here. That's another living, again. But the mom is the 8-11 Crickets Kingpin sow. She would have raised that blue gilt that Joe McConnell there in Nebraska showed last year. She came down in Colorado, won the light crosses very, very frequently there toward the end of the circuit, ended up third overall breeding gilt. I will tell you, this one comes with plenty of extra stoutness and boxiness in that 37-9. But a neat pair to discuss, Weston.
I think if you don't get the opportunity to come out to Colorado often, you just need to understand that Cooley and the Flatland program has done such a good job of making them all be so dense with great shape. But for me personally, when you put them together with front thirds like this, I think this male pig is so sharp and neat about his front third and just extra look, coupled with those intangibles that you've focused on for years, make that one very exciting. I think that's a Colorado State Fair Barrow, and wherever you need it to be, very good one for sure. Don't miss Pinmate here. Of course, if we'll get her to drive across, love her moderation, proportions well again, very, very just perfect color pattern, a good gilt to study for sure.
So again, guys, the male pig out in the ring, that is wherever 35-1 Living Kingpin Verbatim Roxy, and then the gilt 37-9 Living back on the Cricket sow. The next pair will jump out here, a pair of gilts. And, another pair of females that I'm pretty excited about, especially this first one we're going to talk about, Weston. This is 28-7. Wide Awake, Make It Happen Unlocked. Again, full sib to watch and learn. We've just talked about the littermate boar pig. We've already talked about another litter. That one is stout, hairy, big legs, wild look. I guess I probably failed to mention there was a littermate gilt to watch and learn that the Mabry family in Texas showed this last year or this winter. Won her class at San Antonio, sold her there, found a very good home in Texas. I didn't keep every gilt out of that litter. We sold several of them because we thought we could go win some shows, and weren't disappointed in the results there. But we're certainly offering up some more of those full sib gilts here. That's the wide belted one. The other gilt out in the ring, that is 37-8. Just talked about her littermate, Livin' Crickets Kingpin. A little bit different mold here. That one has extra shape up on the top side of her skeleton. She is boxy. Certainly probably can take your time in feeding that one toward a later window. Neat pair, though.
Selfishly, I don't know if I want to promote this 28-7 Cooley. It didn't take me but a couple seconds back in the barn to find her. She's really, really special. Those are the kind you try to find when you go out and look, right? To again, come from a proven pedigree that makes sense, but to have that kind of look, proportions, extras in terms of density, hair. Everything just fits and works and gets you fired up. That one is going to be on anybody's short list that I know, I guess. The other one in here, absolutely awesome in terms of her cage. Love that one's just roundness of body, which lets her have that big back shape. Yeah, feeding window on that one, super flexible. You can show her for a long time and have fun the whole way through. Fun pair of gilts. Do not miss 28-7, special creature.
Hey, wide belted gilt, 28-7. Again, Wide Awake, Make It Happen. Then the narrower belted or traditional belted gilt, 37-8. Livin' Crickets. Next up, guys, we're going to get into a set of blue pigs. These are kind of early Jan born here that I think you're going to like quite a bit, Weston. The pair of males that we're going to run out here, these are litter mates, 41-2, 41-3. The bigger blue male is 41-2. The more moderate one is 41-3. Pedigree reads, Out for Blood, quite frankly, Kingpin Verbatim Roxy. Again, we keep bringing up that Kingpin Verbatim Roxy on the bottom side for good reason. The mom here, we have three of those, quite frankly, daughters, and one of them, they've all generated. One of them last year would have had a solid white Yorkshire classifying barrow that we showed on the circuit, won the CGSA circuit as far as Yorkshire points, wins the Yorks at Weld County and ends up 5th overall market hog there. Another one of those sows raised a very good litter of Stand By Me's this summer that Half and crew bought a very unique barrow at PT out of that one that's won quite a bit on the Oklahoma circuit. Here's another daughter or female out of that line there of that, quite frankly, Kingpin. And I think we have a very nice set of Out for Bloods here in the ring.
I guess if Out for Blood, quite frankly, Kingpin doesn't catch your attention, I don't know what else to tell you. The quite frankly sows have been just crushing it for people. With a Kingpin behind it, again, makes so much sense. But more importantly, study the pigs here. These things are very, very good. This pin is fun to evaluate in the back. Obviously, a little size difference. Hopefully, you can kind of see that on camera. Your -2 pig is the bigger one. I think, if you need to be ready earlier, he's just pounds heavier today. Love that thing's pin set, squareness, just cage, everything works. But then if you get off to the side of him and let him stretch a little, still lots of extension blade forward. The little brother, the -3, similar mold, just pounds lighter. Very consistent, I would tell you, in terms of type and kind. You're never going to be short of just body, cage, bone for blue ones. I don't care if you don't have a light cross division. They're going to look stout wherever you show them, right? Skull shapes are awesome. Got those ears straight up. That's a good look. Blue pigs are hard to find, especially ones that look like this.
Yeah, guys, so the bigger ones, -2, more moderate ones, -3, out for blood. Quite frankly, Kingpin, a litter we're very high on that I think has quite a bit of potential down the road. A trio of gilts that we're going to run out next. Again, a pair of blue ones. They are litter mates to the two boys we just talked about, 41-4 and 41-5. And then the calico red spotted up one that is fun colored, as I like to call them, Halloween, however you want to describe them. That's a 42-7. We'll talk about the blue ones first. 41-4, that is the one toward the corner there that Tripp's going to push out at this time. That's 41-4. And then 41-5 is the one that Ridge is going to kind of prop up there toward the center. That pair of gilts, again, out for blood, quite frankly, Kingpin. Genetically alone, I'm probably not real excited about letting these two go, but I do want to offer up our very best, and I feel this pair could be shown early and often and find the backdrop at multiple stages of their career. And if you're pedigree junkie like I am and you're searching for stuff that generates, I would tell you this probably needs to be on your short list, this pair of blue gilts. And then nothing to take away from the pen made in 42-7. That's a Suits Kingpin Visionary. Mom is an older Kingpin sow that we would have come out of that Visionary sow we bought from Heimer several years ago. This sow herself would have been shown at San Antonio and been second in class there in the gilt show several years ago. Still continues to generate, has a very neat gilt right here that I certainly think her better days are ahead of her relative to one that's still going to have plenty of stoutness and a good look to her.
Talking to breeders all the time, just we all kind of sometimes gripe that it's hard to make blue ones, and I blame that maybe Yorks have been a struggle a while, and well, I guess I need to quit griping because here's your chance, right? I mean, we just talked about the pedigree. We just saw the male pigs. They're the right color. Love their mask with the right amount of blue. And then, again, out for blood, quite frankly, Kingpin. Doesn't get much better for that to be blue, in my opinion. I love this -5. She's kind of cooperating a nickel better. Her extra shortness of body and range of motion fires me up. Big sister, again, could probably be taken just to a little bit bigger, heavier weight. She's going to get better every day that she fleshes. Really neat pair of blue gilts, which doesn't surprise me a bit with the pedigree and Singh brothers, right? The one that's going to maybe get missed in this pin, which is unfortunate for her, not unfortunate for the buyer, because this thing's going to get better every day on feed, is the little calico. Really, really neat built. Just give her time. That's all she needs. A little time and feed. Good pigs. Good pin of gilts for sure.
So again, the pair of blues, 41-4 and 41-5, out for blood, quite frankly. And then the calico is 42-7, Suits Kingpin. I'm going to get to our next pin here, and we're getting back into a pair of black and white ones, Weston, and we just talked about the 41 litter blue ones. We did get a belted one out of this litter, and he's going to be, roll him out there in the center part of your screen. He's still intact. He's still a boar, 41-4, out for blood, quite frankly, Kingpin, and probably maybe a little different than his blue litter mates. This one looks like we have a long feeding window, and I hate talking about that sometimes because I think too many people think we can sit on every pig and, you know, there's a perfect remedy of how to feed these things. But that one's proportions boxiness of skeleton, roundness of body, square hind leg that he has in him still, and everything fits together. And then he has all the extras you'd ever want. I think the potential could be very high for that one in a long run this fall. Be patient with him. We don't need to get into a hurry, and we don't need to feed him real fast with a lot of protein. But I do think that one has a lot of quality to him. It's tough to get them with that neat a look ahead of their blade, yet being short-backed and big-pinned. That's a tough combination right there. And then nothing to take away from the pin mate out there. That's 42-5. That's another one of those suits, kingpin gilts, and one that is really wild looking ahead of our blade, big pin set in her, and one that probably fits the program of, hey, just get her home, feed her. She's going to tell you when she's ready, but she's going to be ready a little sooner probably in that growth curve.
It's wild, honestly, to think of this male pig is a mate, right? Not only color, but different type and kind for sure. You described it best. To understand this pig on video, just to know that he is that neat blade forward, then just to explode into the cage and back shape he does. But man, that is a short back critter, right? That's pretty darn unique for sure. Fun prospect. I agree with you. Could go very deep into the fall. The gilt, more extension. Love that thing's just tough looking, stout skull. Comes at you with plenty of width and just square chest with the hard edge up high. You betcha. Take her home. She'll get better every day. Fun pair to evaluate.
So the belted male, 41-1, out for blood, quite frankly. And then the chromed up gilt is 42-5, suits kingpin. Coming out next are a pair of cross gilts, guys, and we're getting into this 39 litter. And Weston, this has to be one of my favorite litters, not from just the quality of pig standpoint, but a pedigree junkie like me and the quality that they represent is truly unique. Guys, the 39 litter, tricked out 3, kingpin dirty deal. When we bought the dirty deal sow for $46,000 a couple years ago from Heimer to really be a foundation and build our entire, not our entire crossbred program, but a big portion of it around and keep females, I thought that was very important for our program. Then Heimer had this kingpin litter out of them that, if you remember the 8-litter kingpin sows at his place, he sold all 5 or offered up all 5 of the litter mates last year and has built the brand sale. We bought a couple of them. The litter mate, at One Ohio. When we had this opportunity to get this gilt bred for the fall run, or this fall for the winter run, I should say, I had tricked out semen. I thought, you know what? It should work on paper. Even though tricked out clone, you say, okay, that's a little older pedigree. Why do you go back that instead of just trying something wild and new thing out there? I'll tell you what, this is why. This pair of belted gilts out in the ring right here. The dash 7 is the one that's going to be tied toward the middle there. The trip's kind of pushing out. And then dash 9 is over here closer to us. Dense, belted, heavy structured gilts with a lot of potential from a genetic standpoint.
You don't have to defend trick clone using that board to me. I'm a big fan myself. I feel blessed just to live in a time when we could clone one like that, right? I mean, incredible board, incredible bottom side pedigree, incredible pigs here. Black and white, dense, stout, absolutely bold everywhere. I would tell you that just being this size, maybe they're not posing for the camera perfectly. Come see them. You're going to study them and be like, man, that's just good livestock. When we can combine all those positive attributes, that big gilt, when she kind of decides right there to put her head up, that'd be the dash 9. Man, that's a good look to just offer all those things together and just balance, right? And to do it with a pedigree like that behind her is very, very exciting from, I don't care what, a generator standpoint, a show gilt, market gilt, breeding gilt, whatever. Good ones are good. Really, really good pair of mates.
So again, kind of the one in the middle of the ring there, that was dash 9, and then dash 7, a little smaller littermate, but again, tricked out 3, kingpin, dirty deal. Whether if you don't like them, that's fine. I'll keep them back, and we'll build around them for the next generation. And I did try to do a good job here, Taylor, of getting litter mates kind of together in some of these groups. I almost got it figured out, but I'm pretty close, yeah. 29's the next pen coming out, 29.3, 29.4, 29.6. Those are all Young Love, Hero, Dirty Deal. Again, we talked about that Dirty Deal sow and what she's meant to our program. The Hero daughter out of her here that we have a pair of them, continue to generate. I will tell you there's probably a lot of similarities between these barrows that we're going to look at, and the similarity starts to me at hip and hind leg, the way they balance, the way they fit everything together. They're ones that, they're not the bulkiest and most of everything at this stage, but I will tell you, they look like the kind that you can take home, feed. They will continually get better. I'm particularly probably drawn to the dash 4 that Ridge is trying to drive there right now in the center of the ring. I think that one is very stout portions, maybe just a shot shorter backed than a couple of the others. Looks like he maybe has a longer feeding window. And then Tripp is going to drive out there, dash 6. He's along the corner over there, but big, stout skull as he drives toward the center of the ring. You can see that in him. If he would just maybe cooperate for us a little bit, good hip and hind leg. And then the dash 3 is the one that Ridge is going to drive out there. He's the one that's probably just a little more extended and is kind, and one that I think you can, if you need one that still needs to be ready into July to 1st of August, step on the gas and go, because his skeleton can handle it.
For those of you that know me, if I am a little extreme anywhere, it's probably just my desire to have elite hip and hind legs. I will give up the boxy, cute one early in the jackpot season to feed one like this, because this skeleton is that all 3 of these represent. It's not a mystery. You look at the pedigree, of course they're going to have it backed by that Dirty Deal grandma as well. I mean, she just stamps it. But man, anytime you have a hip and hind leg like this, your possibilities with the feed bucket are endless. You can do whatever you need at any point in the feeding process, because they can handle it. I absolutely love their range. Just study how long of step they take and the comfort they do it with. But don't get us wrong, it's not like these are skinny ones. I mean, these things still have plenty of shape for me. They're wide coming at you. They read like they're going to be very big-legged. This just skeleton flexibility screams quality in my book. I'm with you. The 4 is pretty special. I do think the one in the corner can be ready earlier. Agree with you there. Really, really fun trio of brothers to study. Just make sure that you note that extra quality that they come with in terms of skeleton correctness.
So pen guys of litter mates, 29.3, 29.4, 29.6, all Young Love, Hero, Dirty Deal. Now you can see my frustration, Weston, when I had obviously very nice barrows that I'm excited to sell, but I was wanting about, that many gilts too to be able to keep back, and we got the one, which she is special. The pair that are coming out here, guys, next, screaming their way in. We've got another 29. That would be the narrow belted or traditional belted one. That's 29-1. He's probably the most moderate of those 29 litter males, and maybe the most exciting from a length of feeding standpoint. Still has the same type of build of his brothers and that entire litter skeleton. You talked about it at length there, just comfort level and the way he uses his hip and hind leg. Like that one quite a bit. Then the chromed up male out in the center of the ring there, that is 34-2. That's another one of those living and then some kingpin pigs. And I will tell you, they started off just a little bit greener, kind of like their mom was. But as you can see with those living pigs, as we've studied them throughout the preview here, they are going to come with plenty of power and plenty of stoutness the longer you feed them. Kind of a neat contrasting pair here to discuss.
This 29 has some similarities to brothers. Maybe my favorite two things about him, I guess, comparatively to them is, extra moderation, but also I love that guy's skull. That is a tough look blade forward, just to be that wide-eyed, good-jawed, again, with everything we talked about in his brothers. This other one comes in, that's a color pattern that gets you noticed. His right side has one dot and the left side has several, just kind of unique depending on where you see him. Fun-colored one that is absolutely waspy blade forward. Very, very sharp in his throat. Going to be neat as he fleshes because he's always going to be good looking for sure.
The traditional belted barrow out there, guys, 29-1, Young Love, Hero, Dirty Deal. The chromed up one with lots of splash and color for the kids that like those, 34-2, Living, and then some Kingpin is the pedigree. And the good news is we're going to have them all whip broke by the end of the day. Getting close. All right, the pair that are going to run out next, we have 38-1 and 32-2. We'll start with 38-1. I've been highly anticipating talking about this litter, Weston, and what they have to offer here. This is actually out of a bred gilt purchase. We don't purchase a lot of breds anymore. We try to build with them. But I found one online this last winter here that became very intriguing, and from a pedigree standpoint, and then I just thought quality standpoint. 38s are Stinger. Mom is a wide awake King of the Hill. The King of the Hill sow is a full sib to Rusty Cage. Tibbetts actually offered this bred gilt up for sale, but he had purchased her from Schwecky as a baby. And this boar pig is still intact, 38-1, but puts some absolutely wild things together. We had a litter of Stingers earlier in our early December group. We sold a very nice litter of those at Elevate. Quite a few of those found good homes. Another litter of Stingers here I'm very excited about. And then the wide-belted, kind of paler colored one, which is unfortunate for him. He's still getting darkening up here, but one that I'm really high on that I think has some wild extra things to him. That is 32-2, all out Hero affirmed. That all out boar is one that is start making some really wild ones out there. We're going to see several of those. That guy has some wild pieces in him.
Most of the time, I consider it a blessing to get to talk to Cooley as much as I do on the phone every week. But I got to give him a hard time. I already have. This was a case on this bread that he had told me that he was interested in on it, and I was like, golly darn, I was too, but okay, go ahead. And man, that was a bonehead move. You owe me on this one again, I'm going to say. Yeah, and I don't know. This guy, I mean, maybe we ought to just keep him aboard and use him. This one is very, very, very dense, but does all the things right. Mama did not necessarily look like your typical wide awake, came with extra punch, right? And the wide awake on the bottom side is going to change our industry. It just is. I mean, you watch the next few years, there's going to be so many great females. The few we have already running our highlights at home too. It doesn't get any better than this. Talk to Beck about Stinger or anybody that's used them. I'm a fan myself. Anyways, everything's right here. Highlight for sure. Come see him. 38-1. Very, very good. The all-out deal is really interesting too. Study this pig in terms of just being raw. Like, I mean, raw shape, raw look, just crisp. I don't know a ton, I guess, about these all-outs. I haven't had as many as I should, but, man, they just are the kind that mature right. Call them later maturing. I don't know how you phrase it. This guy has plenty of pop, but they just turn out wild in the end and seem to get along. I still don't know exactly how to use this board myself. All I know is when I look online, guys are figuring it out. They're going to win. Really neat prospect. Comes in a pin with an absolute killer, but is no slouch himself in terms of stoutness, pin width, hard shape for sure. Fun pair of male pigs.
Yeah, I will tell you, I was a little perplexed of how maybe exactly to use all out as well. I took him to a stout, moderate, round-bodied Hero affirmed gilt, and I've been very, very happy. Or that sow's done a good job, and I think we have several prospects out of that litter we're going to look at here in the next few that you're going to be excited about. Again, that was 38-1 and 32-2. The next pair coming out here, we have 34-3 and 31-6. 34-3 is the Barrow. We're going to jump on him first there. We've talked about this litter already. Living and then some Kingpin. This one maybe gets me as fired up as any out of that particular litter. That guy has a very, very stout mug on him, but still an extended, tall-bladed look ahead of our blade there. Big muscle shape up high, big, stout hind leg that has extra cushion kind of at the ground there, and the way he uses his rear foot and pastern. A little wider belted option there. But when that guy comes right at you, and his nose pad, his throat, chest, all kind of matches the way it does there, to me, that immediately gets you noticed coming out of the gate. Can be a good big hog, right, that can go to a heavier weight. I think there's some very unique pieces in that Barrow in 34-3. And then 31-6 is the belted gilt out there. Young Love, Hero, Kingpin. We've talked about some of our sandy-colored litter mates earlier. Here's the belted version, Weston. Right color, right kind, right skeleton.
Yeah, the gilt's on the camera, so we'll start with her. I appreciate you calling them sandy now, not red belts anymore. But anyways, again, really, really functional, right? With the awesome cage, awesome underline balance in terms of getting that flank right is not going to be hard on that one. Just checks a ton of boxes there. But to jump to this male pig, this one I just am so, I guess, intrigued by his column of bone being so consistent, being huge ankled. But then, you know, he goes away from you and you're like, what's it going to be? Man, his hock is shoved way in there where we can feed on him when we need to. He's super square that way. You described how good he is coming at you. You're right. You have about 5 seconds to get noticed and make an impression. That's so important in today's ring. Really fun prospect there for sure. The wide belt male cruising across the green.
So a neat pair there, guys. The male pig, as I said, is 34-3, Livin', and then some Kingpin. Gilt, 31-6, Young Love, Hero Kingpin. It's weird how much Kingpin we have on the great-grandma side around here, and it really shines through. Usually either Kingpin, Never Before, or the Dirty Deal Sow. That tends to be the three that it keeps coming back to, or Goosebumps. Those are the four. That just consistent base. Good four, yeah. They tend to have made good animals. Pair of cross gilts out in the ring, guys. 32-6 is the chromed up, kind of wild marked one. And then 31-7 is the traditional belted, kind of broken belted gilt. We'll start with the chromed one, guys. I absolutely love this one. She could work for me in a lot of different ways. All out, Hero affirmed. Love the Hero on the bottom side. And when we used all out, I'm telling you what, it is tough to find them that much density and column of bone and stoutness of feature at the ground, and yet have a wild throat, neck, head attachment there with a big muscle shape up high. those things usually don't all blend and come together, and yet that one still looks like Weston. I think you can just feed on her. You don't have to overmanage her. You just flesh her up, get ready to show her, and maybe she'll help show off just a little bit as she wants to prance around the ring there. That one has some wild, wild pieces to her. The traditional belted gilt, as I just said, 31-7. We just saw her sister, Young Love, Hero, Kingpin, one that just checks so many fundamental boxes of everything balancing and fitting together.
I think let's just talk about this thin belt since she's on screen here. Compared to littermate, extra crisp edges everywhere, right? I mean, this thing's back shape is aggressive, really expressive in her shape, clean up front. You described her as fundamental. I would say that shape even takes her to a little bit unique in that regard. The chromed up gilt, the two things that are going to make the biggest difference in this gilt are getting her stick broke so she puts that giraffe neck in the air and letting her flesh. Both things that we can do, and as showman, you're going to take her home and do those, and you're going to be like, whoa. We just turned this thing into a killer. As soon as she fleshes and throws her nose in the sky, it's going to be lights out. Going to be way wild looking and big pod at the same time. Really, again, maybe a little contrast in the pair. Both bring some uniqueness to the table.
So chromed up gilt guys, 32-6, all out, Hero affirmed. 31-7 is the traditional narrower belted gilt, Young Love, Hero, Kingpin. We're going to run a trio at you next of kind of some more wild marked ones that certainly have some differences amongst them, but man, I'm excited about them. 32-3. Wait a minute. Do we have? Oh, yeah, there he is in the corner there. All right. We're going to start with the belted one. One, we just got done talking about his littermate sister. All out, Hero affirmed. The traditional belted one here, Weston, he's on one of my short lists, is just a really good animal barrow that checks so many boxes. We talk about the column of bone that he has, the stoutness of feature, and yet he has a very, very good look ahead of his blade. He's traditional in his color pattern and belt there, where he's always going to get noticed. He proportions so well. One that has been very high on my list as he's matured, the traditional belted barrow, 32-3. 33-7, that's the chromed up male over here in the corner here. We've talked about that 30, well, I guess he's running toward the middle there, the target butted one. Talked about that 33 litter, wide awake, top shelf, one that's a little bit skinnier right now, but I'm telling you what, big paws, big feet. Hip and hind leg and flexibility of skeleton is what you expect from the wide awake and what that he's done there. That one, I think you just get him away from his pen mates, take him home, let him eat just a little bit, and you're going to be really, really happy with a barrow that you're going to have there as he flexes and matures because he's built right. And then if you didn't notice the gilt right away, you should now because dense-haired, dense skeleton, great texture to her. That chromed up gilt, that's another one of those 38s, 38-5, stinger, wide awake, king of the hill, unique pedigree, unique animal there.
Yeah. We'll, I don't know who to start on here. This pin is pretty woofy. But this black-headed pig with kind of the target from behind fires me up. That thing, to me, doesn't... I mean, I think that thing just reads with plenty already in terms of his extra feature, but his square edge coming on hard and fast. To couple that with a wide-awake hind leg is very unique at this stage of the game. I think that one is very, very good. To be that dense, that athletic, that's a good critter. We jump over to the gilt, and yeah, I hope the camera grabs it. Her hair is next level. She is going to be a shaggy one with the absolute sweet color pattern and a fun look. There is no way you don't get noticed being not only fun colored, dead sexy from the side, extra hairy, all the things, right? Stinger, like we talked about, is got a lot of momentum all of a sudden. And then, sorry, we're talking them kind of in reverse order. But this belted pig, you had mentioned it earlier on how some litters, sometimes males look like males, females look like females. This guy comes with the extra Cajun bulk we want in our barrows already, right? This guy's center body and just boldness of cage is very good. Some people like chrome ones, some people like calicos. Everyone likes belts. That's a perfect belt with solid black legs. Can't draw them up much better colored than that for the masses. Fun trio to study. Really, really good.
So again, guys, the traditional belted male 32-3, that's the all-out hero affirmed. 33-7 is the target-butted, black-headed male over there. Wide Awake is his sire. And then the chromed-up gilt 38-5, that's the Stinger, Wide Awake. Weston, as we kind of have just a short break here right before the next pin, one thing I've really tried to do, and I thought emphasize this year when we had our pigs, is I thought we had enough different types and kinds, all quality, but different types where depending on how you want to feed them, you're going to be okay. If you want to go slow, we have some that can go slow with. If you want to just feed them, you can go feed with them. And then as we jump into this next pen, I think you're going to find the quality stays true because we're going to start with that chromed up male in the corner over there. 38-3, Stinger, Wide Awake. I'm telling you, we saw his little, maybe stouter, more boar-like brother a little earlier. This one looks like a special type of show barrow to me, 38-3. The other one the next one in the pen here as we kind of push them out so I can see here, 29-2. That's the traditional barrow there. That's another one of those 29s. Young Love, hero dirty deal. Again, skeleton, balance, just function in that particular male. We've talked about those 29s already. Not going to get you in trouble. I think that guy continues that tradition there. And then the little guy running around the ring there, that the kind of the black-headed with the black hip on him there, all out, hero affirmed, 32-1. Neat trio to talk about, Weston. We'll get your thoughts here.
I think it's important in 2025, you talk about having different kinds and different endpoints, different styles. Honestly, at times it's important depending on who we show to, right? I mean, there's different definitions of quality and what we're after everywhere you go, which can be challenging and fun, right? Depends on the day, I guess. But man, this belted pig in the middle here is extra fun to study for me. Just from a density, shag, current look, he's robust, busted open, and just does it with fat rear legs. I mean, and that's to take nothing away from his giant front ankle. Really, really neat there. I was way high on the gilt in the last pin. We saw the boar pig earlier. Consistency for sure. That's. He's still a boar too. Okay, good. That's good hog. Yeah, and you got some differences in size in here. The little guy with the black head that's kind of cruising around looks to me like he's got just tons of potential. He's going to get better with time. He's not huge today, but he's big enough for sure to evaluate. Skeleton reads good, look reads good, but you can already tell that guy's going to be good in his cage, have plenty of shape. Fun one there for sure. And then, yeah, another 29, right? Good hind leg, neat look. Those kind don't get you in trouble, right? Different, again, very fun. 3 good male pigs for sure to come have a look at.
That was pen 17 if you're following along at home there. Obviously, we'll have that listed there on the preview so you guys can go back and watch and know the order they come in. Then obviously know what pen they're going to be in when you get here and come look at them. The next 3 that we're going to run out here are 3 litter mates, Weston, 35s. So Livin, Kingpin, Verbatim, Roxy. Not only does that sow, as an older sow she is, continue to not have quality, she cranks out big litters every single time. I will be honest. I've told Brian this several times. I said there's certain sows, you have to move the old ones out, bring the new ones in. That's just part of this game. We feel like we have to turn them over so quick now. That one, she can die here. It's fine. She's proven herself. She's made more money and done her job more than anything. We have a nice trio out here, I think, of good, comfortable pigs that do a lot of nice things. The one out in the middle of the ring, we'll talk about that gilt right there, 35.9. One that I think, a little bigger in her kind. One you can kind of just feed for maybe an earlier show in her. The wide belted gilt over in the corner, I guess she's coming around the edge there. We'll get her in the center of the ring now. That's going to be -5. That's the other gilt out here. One that's a little more moderate in her kind. Probably can take your time with that particular gilt and female, and you're feeding her. And then the male brother over here, 35-2. We'll get that one out toward the middle there. He is a crypt, guys. We want to make sure that we do note that. I want to make sure I get that on there. That is right, 35-2. I believe he looks like he is a crypt there. Get that noted. One that probably in between those two relative to feeding program.
If you're watching from video, I think the biggest thing to understand on here is how he described it. Just maybe different endpoints in terms of size and when they're ready. Man, the gilt that's kind of on the stick there, love her extra shortness of back. Just helps her proportion so well. The male pig that's kind of walking across the middle now, again, great colored one, really dark in his pigmentation. That hind leg says, man, I can do whatever you need to do. If we need to push, if we need to chill, he's going to allow you to have some flexibility from that regard. Still reads with muscle, proportions well. Those things are so nice to have on your side.
So a trio of litter mates, guys. 35.5 is the boxy gilt. 35.9 is the bigger gilt. 35.2 is the barrow crypt there. Sound like we were screaming something in the back there. They were getting them ready at least. A trio coming out next, Weston, that I'm pretty pumped about. They have all come from litters we've talked about before that have been highly exciting, and we're going to run them out here and see what you have to think. The first one we'll talk about is the male pig with the spot in his back there that is going to put on the end of the whip and kind of cock his head off. That is 33-1. He is a crypt, unfortunately. Wide awake, top shelf, nothing to hide. Again, the sow there, that's a first litter gilt that came from Platt. We bought it PT. And that was another one of those, I think, situations. You like that gilt, and maybe you let me steal her that day, and you did. That was one that you didn't buy, didn't raise your hand. Maybe Jessica distracted you at that time and don't remember. But I'm happy that we finally got her into production. That particular male there has the extras relative to stoutness, moderation. Again, we talk about feeding windows when they're ready. I don't know if I can predict everything. I do think that one can be ready early and often and go for a while in your feeding program. The black-headed male along the ridge over there that Ridge has, that is another one of the 32s, 32-5, all-out hero affirmed. That one fires me up from some uniqueness standpoint, Weston. Look ahead of his blade. Again, that wild goose neck that those all-outs have. He has big, fat legs, and he's hairy, and yet still looks like one green enough you can feed on and rock and roll with. And then 38-6 is the gilt stinger, wide awake. We've talked about that litter. Here's a very, very high-quality female that I think could probably fit a wide variety of shows depending on when you want to get her ready.
Creature there. He throws her nose in the air. He's always going to give you a good look. Here comes the He-Man with the spot on his back. Absolutely special one. Extra density, but with a hawk that bends and flexes like we want it to. Those are things that are hard to put together. We all know it. They've got to be huge-legged, but they only matter if they can use it, and that guy does. It starts at the tip of his nose all the way down to his rear ankle. There is no angle of that guy that's not dense. He has for me, it's the perfect kind of shape, right? He's not too much. He's not overdone. I'm never scared about him being just too much in his stifle or hip. But, man, when you want to put a back in him, he reads like he's going to have it. I don't know. I don't want to pick favorites. That one is fires me up as good as about anything we've seen. And then I do think of the 32s we've seen so far, that's the all-out litter, right? The 32s. This one, he's not the biggest by any means. He might be the smallest. He might be my favorite. He kind of combines that just waspy look like some of them have had, but with that extra big rear leg and a wide pin set. I don't worry at all about cage on that guy as he matures. That's a fun pig to evaluate, to combine hair, stoutness with an aggressive shape and a neat look. Really good pin.
Yeah, I've been fired up about this pin and these trio to kind of show off to you guys. And again, a little bit different types and kinds. They don't all have to look the same, guys. Is a baby. We know what they have to look like as a big one. They have to bring everything together. They have to have enough bone. They have to have enough stoutness. They have to be, He-Man enough. They have to have a good look. You can just get there a couple different ways. That trio right there, probably better have one of those in your barn. We're going to get into a little smaller pin here. Those of you guys, I know it's wild to think, Weston, that is it time to start trying to find my Kansas City pigs? But it really is. It's time. And because you better buy them now while they're... Okay, it's not exactly the exact order we're in there on paper. That's okay. We have 39, 8, and 32, 4. Okay, that's okay. Let's just start with the little male, all right? 32, 4. You talked about his brother a moment ago, the black-headed one. All out, hero, affirmed, 32-4. That one is the smallest one we're going to offer, all right, in the sale. I don't know when he's ready. I don't know what what more you want. I thought he had quality, though, and had the right kind of look, the right proportions. He was a belted male pig that is going to have big legs, big feature, and a good look. You tell me when he's ready. It could be Denver next year. I don't know. I don't try to predict those things anymore. I do think that one has a lot of quality. And then 39-8, we talked about that 39 litter already just a little bit. Tricked out 3, Kingpin, Dirty Deal, another gilt out of that litter that screams with quality. She's a perfectly belted gilt that has look, feature, and the right kind of skeleton.
I know, for a lot of our customers, they don't get to see pigs this size all the time, but I just want to emphasize, I guess, that this little guy isn't the norm. This guy isn't just your run-of-the-mill hog. This thing is out there, right? In terms of chest, bone, wild, exotic front third, he gives you a shot to always just be unique. And yeah, I don't know, put him on feed, let him decide when he needs to go somewhere. The gilt's a little bit of a similar mold. I mean, for one this size, she is wild up front, just super, super sharp looking, proportions very well. I love just how everything kind of blends together on that one. Give that one time and you'll like her better and better every day on this pair here for sure.
So again, the male is 32-4, all out hero. And then the gilt, 39-8, tricked out 3, Kingpin, Dirty Deal. Pair I like quite a bit. And since we kind of re-racked our order, it's kind of neat because I get to have a pair that comes out again. They're a pair of 39s that, again, probably could fit a variety of shows. And a pair of males that I am very, very high on. I think they have the exact same endpoint? Probably not. But the chromed up one, 39-4, the little male, the smaller one, 39-5, both of them tricked out 3, Kingpin, Dirty Deal. I'm just going to jump to Weston and get his opinion on them, but I'm high on both these.
I don't know what you guys think on screen, but it doesn't take you very long just to be excited when they walk in and look like this. They grab your attention with that fun chrome color, but in such a proportional, sharp-looking package. This is what we strive to do. We try to put a boxy, dense, manly one with this pretty whistle neat front third, right? Drives us all nuts trying to make it, but hey, we did it here, right? So study in, because when you can be sweet looking up front, but broad, wide, dense everywhere else, such a good combo. Really good pig there. And that we're talking the bigger one, that'd be the -4. The little one, again, give that dude time, right? Reads with a lot of the same positive indicators in terms of shortness of back, wild look up front. I don't know. Who knows how the sale goes, but at times, Cooley being maybe a little bit in a hurry to sell this one probably works to your advantage, because you could end up with the brother just like this bigger one that is leading the way, that is going to be wildly popular on sale day. Fun pair to look at for sure. Kind of neat to see them in different stages almost, right? And that's just how pig farming works when you get big litters, right?
Yeah, that sow did a great job. She had a big litter, and so obviously there was a little bit different in size between some of them. And that's fine, because again, anymore, age is just a number. Show them when they're ready. I think both this pair right here should be on your short list if you're hunting for something that can run late August all the way into the fall. These should work for you. -4 is the bigger chromed one. -5 is the smaller one. All right, we're getting into now our final pin. We've just got 2 pairs to run out at you. A pair of gilts here that a little bit different in terms of size, where they're at. But I think, guys, what you're hunting for is quality. These bring it to the table. Let's start with the dark blue gilt out there. That is 23-4. Suits, buckle up, goosebumps. We talked about some of our litter mates earlier that were black and white and chromed up. Guys, if you're still hunting for one that you need ready in July, as Weston said, there's probably not many options left out there. Here's one. And not only is she just a big pig, she's not just that. This one has quality. Look, balance, bone, foot size, and her skeleton reads right and reads to be one that you can just feed and go with and let her just mature in the right way. And a fun color to boot. We like that dark blue around here. We have several of those females. All ties back to that goosebumps silver lining sow, and her granddaughter here shows that off. The kind of calico red sandy one, as we like to call it. That's another one of those 26s. You mentioned several of those early. You liked them. We're going to finish with some 26s here. This is 26-9. Wide open, king of the hill, gone viral. A very nicely balanced, proportional gilt with a good look ahead of her blade. Right kind of muscle shape that I think can fit a lot of different endpoints depending on what you want to do.
Oh, this one's copper. You got it wrong again. No, I'm just kidding. This one is unique color-wise, though. One side's kind of darker than the other. It's fun there. But more importantly, I love this gilt's just sharpness, stylish from the side. It just gives you a really neat look. Again, those are the kind that get better with time. They flesh and everything stays in check, but they always have just that look of quality. Let's get to the blue gilt. I know you said it. I said it earlier. Can't stress it enough. There are not pigs this size for sale in many places. If you're a little behind, you've been playing ball, I don't care what, well, this is your lucky day, because to find one with this kind of quality at this size, those chances are far and few between. Cool color. Litter backs are up just in terms of the depth and the quality they've all had. Don't miss your chance here.
Okay, so the dark blue gilt, that would be 23-4. Suits, buckle up, goosebumps. And I guess on that note, we talk about buckle up on the bottom side. We're starting to get into some of those. That was probably maybe a bore when we used them. We didn't know, where the female's going to be at. I'll tell you, I wish I want more of them after this one. Those buckle up sows are going to get it done. And then the sandy colored, copper colored one, 26-9, wide open. And then speaking of calicos, we're going to finish with a pair of 26s. This is the last two pigs in our preview. And I thought, well, we better bring a couple stouties here, chromed up ones, calico ones, whatever you want to call them. I call them good. Weston Charles, 26.3 is the male barrow pig. 26.6 is the gilt. Wide open, King of the Hill gone viral. That King of the Hill sow raised that reserve grand overall Weld County for us a couple years ago, and I think she did it again with a pair that can fit a lot of different shows in a lot of different time frame.
I was studying pigs in the barn earlier, and this pin had several in it, and I kept confusing myself who I was looking at. That's how similar, I guess, I read these, so I'm going to talk them as a pair. These are absolutely dense, stout, wide, broad, bold ones that proportion very neat. So often, I, as a feeder, just take for granted having real shape, width, and cage, right? When you start with ones like this, you just don't have to worry. Honestly, at my house, I take these home, and all I'm looking at for the next, 4 or 5 months is I'm just managing front third. Let them go slow enough to stay neat up front, and the rest is good. Feet and legs are good. Muscle is incredible. Pin set is perfect. They're yanked up in their tail. Their cages are great. Their shortness of back is always going to make them look like they're bigger than they are, so they're fun to mark a weigh card on. Very similar in their type and kind. Both very good.
Yeah, guys, so the -3 is the male, -6 is the female. Again, wide open. King of the Hill gone viral is the pedigree. Guys, that'll wrap up our preview. We sure appreciate you tuning in. Obviously, time to rewatch it before our sale. Again, if you are coming to the farm here, we do have a live preview here Friday night, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. We'll have some, food and beverages for you guys that want to watch that and come here. And then the sale, Saturday, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time here at the farm, obviously in person, and then also on TaylorFort.com on his sale platform. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Thanks again. Appreciate everyone tuning in.